Dorian's Mode. I am your host, Dorian Wallace, a composer, pianist, music therapist, and leftist shit talker who enjoys rambling about BS and conversing with my fellow human beings about creativity, music, philosophy, politics, and other nonsense in a casual, honest, and constructive way. Alright. So I actually just recorded the last episode on fascism as well, but I wanted to do this episode partially to have another episode for the holidays prepared, but I actually wanted to talk about how and why to argue and debate people on social media. So first and foremost, for those that do know me, on the internet, knows that I have a particular passion for arguing and debating with people online. And I've gotten a couple of various responses about it. Some people say it's pointless. Some people are very encouraged. Some people have blocked me, defriended me, all those things. But, anyways, I just wanted to put this out there to actually get into some of the reasons and the details why this is what I see as an important tactic in regards to activism, as well as, I'm literally going to just read, I'll read it anonymously, but I'm going to read a fight I'm in the middle of, and so there might even be a response that pops up by the time I get to the end of this thread, and you might even hear in real time me coming up with a response. But so first and foremost, I want to talk about why debating online is essential in a lot of realms. So The first part is that there is a negative impact in that there are people who do virtue signal. They want to present themselves with a certain image that they're standing on the right cause, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to get into any of that. I'm not going to get into the ethics of people who are insincere or, any of those factors. What I'm going to get at is why I do it. So one of the major pushbacks I get is, why argue? You're not going to change anybody's mind. It's like, okay, sure. That would be a convincing argument for me to not engage in debate with people online if that were my intention. So my intention is never to change the mind of the opponent in which who I'm arguing with. When I go into a debate, I am already convinced that there's maybe a 1% chance that the other side is going to see my point of view. So what it really is almost a form of performance or theater that the observers can witness. And so if I can present myself as calm and rational, as well as thorough in my responses, or at least mindful in my responses, that can at least possibly sway people who are not sure what their stance is on a certain issue. It can sway people one way or the other. The other is that by the time I do get into more aggressive and or argumentative styles, or even name calling, to be totally upfront, part of that is to also show, like, all right, like, if you're not willing to have a good faith debate, I was this calm and cordial for such a point that now I am making a statement that that you are you've pushed me to a certain space. And and I guess just to sort of finish this out, the other, like, the real major purpose of this is it's almost an education platform. I spend a lot of time in far-right spaces online. I spend a lot of time reading and researching political theory and philosophy. And so I'm going to use that information to try to plant it out into the world so that more people can, pick up a nugget here or there that can possibly grow into something deeper. So it's kind of an approach on raising consciousness. It's a slow process, and it's not the only thing to do. But I do think that we live in a world in which a lot of people are on social media, and we really do connect on the internet. And so we should use the tools that we have, when we can do it. I mean, this is literally one reason I vote for Democrats. I've never been a Democrat in my life. I've never been a registered Democrat. And yet, on the national level, I tend to vote for Democrats, whereas on the local level, I tend to vote for third parties, or the most progressive Democrats possible, because the idea is to shift things in the local perspective. But there's also, and the guy just wrote back, so y'all are going to get to hear a real-time response when we get to it. So anyways, I'm going to get into the fucking conversation. So I'm on this Facebook group, and it's ridiculous. It's turned into a dumpster fire. It's called Classic Art Memes Group. And in like a matter of a couple of days, all these QAnon and just fashy people started popping up. And it's now not even a Classic Art Memes Group anymore. It's fighting with anti-vaxxers and racists. So the meme that an individual posted was they write classic sports related art meme, but what the meme is it's a picture of Megan Rapinoe and Colin Kaepernick, and they're kneeling during the national anthem, and the meme text says, "This is why condom usage is so important." So it's implying that you should use condoms to make sure these athletes won't come out and do something like kneeling during the national anthem. Okay, so whatever. It's a dumb meme. Also, just, a little bit of background. This particular guy posts on this group like 10 to 20 times a day, and some of them are just awful. Some of them are dumb. Most of them are awful. This one, I'd put this as like a 6 out of 10 on stupidity. So anyways, the first thing I did, and this was not necessarily, you never know if you're going to get a hook or not, but the first thing I did is I wrote something that was completely true. And I wrote, "I served 10 years in the United States Army and absolutely support these two and their message. I found it completely disgusting when people tried to use veterans to hide behind their bigoted views." And at this point in time, it's a small group. I got 16 likes, I got 3 hearts, and I got some person who did the laugh emoji, because, yeah. So someone else writes, "I know a lot of vets who feel this way." I respond to them, and I went, "Yep, same," and noticed the Patriots who did the laugh reaction above. They went, of course, only on their terms. So, blah, 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 blah. We finally get to the guy that I want to talk about, who I've been arguing with. So he writes, and I'm going to keep it anonymous. He writes, criticizing these idiots kneeling when the national anthem plays is a bigoted view, and he puts a clown face. So I respond, no. However, bigots frequently said bigoted things while disguising them as, in quotes, standing for veterans. They didn't give a crap about veterans. The reason Kaepernick was kneeling was that Nate Boyle, a Green Beret, suggested he kneel as a sign of respect for veterans while also protesting something he felt was essential and using his platform to bring awareness to it. So, first and foremost, this is all true. I'm not saying that criticizing the national anthem or kneeling during the national anthem is in of itself bigoted. However, it was very common where the criticisms about the kneeling always came down to race or sex or gender. There were so many times there was no discussion about the actual reasons for the kneeling. The other part is I'm literally a veteran. And I know a lot of veterans who are in a similar mindset as I am. We literally will state our claims to be like, yeah, like I actually like really support Kaepernick. And keep in mind, this entire discussion, I'm talking about Kaepernick over Rapinoe. And the real reason is I just know a lot more about the Kaepernick situation than I do about Rapinoe. Like, I don't follow sports, so I don't follow those things. So I really only want to talk about something that I actually know about or something that I can find information about quickly. And it really is a very cool thing. Nate Boyle was a Green Beret, and he was or maybe still is in the NFL, and he actually met up with Cap, and he was fucking pissed at him because Cap was originally sitting down during the national anthem to protest police brutality. And Nate Boyle showed him a text message from a brother of his. And when I say brother, I mean like brother in arms, not blood brother. But was like, it was basically after a fellow Green Beret comrade had been killed in combat. And so Nate shows him this, and he's like, dude, this is super insulting. Like, you shouldn't sit during the national anthem. Kaepernick took it seriously and was like, oh man, I didn't like how could I maybe find a middle ground? And so anyways, Nate Boyle, fucking Army veteran, Green Beret, gave him the suggestion like, hey, and he took it, he saw that Kaepernick was taking it seriously. He was like, why don't you kneel? Because that's a sign of respect. That's a sign of respect for soldiers. So you wouldn't be sitting down, but you can also still utilize your protests. And so Kaepernick started kneeling. It was literally a middle ground between what he was originally doing and what a veteran actually suggested him do. So, all right, then the next comment I write just as kind of a follow-up. So I said, I was still in uniform at the time and was at a bar with fellow soldier, and some dude tried to buy us drinks because, in quotes, that N-word Kaepernick didn't know his place. This really happened, by the way. We turned down the drinks and said Kaepernick had every right to kneel. Because we were in uniform, we couldn't state that we both actually supported what he was protesting. Okay, that really happened. So then this dude has a wonderful response, and he says, Nate Boyle saved him from looking like an even bigger idiot. That's because Nate Boyle had probably deployed and knew anyone else who was gone abroad that we live in the best country that has ever existed, and there is opportunity for anyone. Anyone here in this country that works hard and educates themselves can make it. Sitting on your knee only encourages self-loathing, and those people fail, much like this quarterback. Nobody wants someone that does that shit on their team. Terrible role model. Clown. Then he writes clown emoji, whatever. So, first off, I'm going to break down this. He's using words like idiot. It's like, I don't think Kaepernick looked like an idiot. And like, how are we defining what an idiot is? Whatever. It's also just not an objective fact that anyone who's gone abroad knows that we live in the best country. That's just not true. There are lots of countries that are great in this world. There are third world countries or developing nations. Sorry for my un-PC wording, but there are so many places in this world that are amazing, and the United States just doesn't own the top spot. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, what are we the best at? Are we the best in education? No. Are we the best? Do we have the best healthcare system? Absolutely not. Do we have the best war record? No. We haven't successfully won any combat since World War II, and even then there's just so much more nuance to it. So, first off, he's coming in with, he's calling Kaepernick an idiot, and then he talks about it being the best country and you just know it because if you've ever gone abroad, you know that this is the best country that's ever existed. And there is opportunity for anyone. So he says, anyone here in this country that works hard and educates themselves can make it. This is objectively not true. This is objectively not true. Most people work hard. Go to any construction site and tell me that people are not working hard there. In the arts, how many artists do you know that work their asses off and just cannot get a break? It's just such a dumb statement. And, to really put it into this, most people stay in the class that they were born into. Look at the Walton family. How many of them worked hard to succeed? They're a multi-trillion-dollar family. They're each worth a couple of billions. I think a few of them are in the top 10 wealthiest people on the planet. And they didn't bring any of that wealth. They were given that wealth and given the space to be able to let that wealth grow. And their father was exploiting small businesses all around the country. Same thing happened with Ray Kroc, with McDonald's, the way he sold the concept of McDonald's. It was a leasing firm for the property, but not the actual business. This happened with the Trump dynasty is what I'll call it. Donald Trump, I'm not 100% accurate on this, I bet, but he really only owns Trump Tower in New York City and Mar-a-Lago. The rest of it, all the other Trump properties are licensures. So whatever. This guy is ridiculous. So then he writes the following comment and says, so you were in uniform in a bar? And then he writes, women's soccer went woke, hadn't seen a gold since. So honestly, I can't really comment on that. I don't follow sports. So I went, yes, I know it's against the rules, but everyone does it. This is just a true thing. People go to fucking bars in uniform. You're not supposed to do it. It happens. Like, some people don't, the real rule is you're not supposed to drink alcohol. And the amount of times I've been in a bar with somebody and, they get food and then they get a Coke in air quotes and it's really a rum and Coke. That's what this is. It's just, it's a dumb technicality that this guy's, I guess, trying to own me on. Whatever. So then I post an interview of Nate Boyer speaking about Colin Kaepernick, and this is a YouTube video from hold on, I'm just loading. From Real Sports, and it's a bonus clip. Okay. So then this guy goes, well, I can see why your career ended and you support these bozos. So, okay, I go, my career ended. He responds, oh, you still in? And I went, I didn't re-enlist. 10 years is a long time, and I had other inspirations. Now I work at a prison. This is also true. Now, I will say, just to be upfront, I'm new at this prison job, and I've done a lot of other things between now and back when I left the military. There's an entire composer career, there's an entire dance accompanist career. But this guy doesn't know me. He doesn't need to know all those details. So sometimes I will say that I do push the emotional buttons by pulling the street cred out. So I've got a military background and I work in a prison. These are places that you would think one of these conservative asshats would have some kind of respect for. But whatever. It's like, I actually don't think you need to respect anyone for what job they have, but whatever. It's just, it kind of calls out their ideology, the whole support the troops attitude. They don't actually agree with that. So he then writes, so what is against the rules there that everyone does? And he does like the face. So I'm kind of done with his ridiculous kicking the can down the road, because he's clearly I just want to remind everyone that this started with my post about that I support Kaepernick and Rapinoe, and so he's now shifting the conversation. It's getting to a weird place. It's not actually on point. So I went, what point are you trying to make? He responds, just learning more about people who prop up these clowns. And he puts more clown emojis, because why not? So I went, why is your point of view incapable of discussing opinions like adults? So now I'm getting a little bitchy, and I support it. I'm okay with this. I go, why is your point of view incapable of discussing opinions like adults oh wow, I spelled this weird. I'll read what I wrote, and then I'll read what I was trying to say. I went, why is your point of view incapable of discussing opinions like adults and have to just to weird childlike responses? I was trying to say, why are you incapable of discussing opinions like adults and you have to just give weird childlike responses? So then I write, I supported Kaepernick for, and I put 3 points. I went, number 1, he has a right to protest anything he finds worthy of protesting. Number 2, he has a public platform and used it to bring attention to police violence against black people. Number 3, he was respectful to actual veterans by taking the advice of a veteran on how to protest. What do you agree with these points? He writes back, this is what I disagree with. Number 1, his platform was to win Super Bowls as part of his team, but lost focus. Number 2, he is now unemployed. Great role model. Number 3, if you think taking a knee during the anthem is such a great thing, how many times did you do it in uniform? 0, right? Because it is dumb. So there's a lot of flipping going on here. And this is really, it takes some skill to kind of pick up on this stuff. So the first point is, so I went 1, 2, and 3. I gave very precise things for him to respond to. I supported Kaepernick for 1, he has a right to protest anything he finds worthy of protesting. 2, he has a public platform and used it to bring attention to police violence against black people. 3, he was respectful to actual veterans by taking the advice of a veteran on how to protest. This dude's response, he goes, 1, his platform was to win Super Bowls as part of his team, but lost focus. So that isn't answering my first point, which is that he has the right to protest anything he finds worthy of protesting. He is not bringing up his rights. He goes right to my second point, which is he has a public platform and used it to bring attention to police violence against black people. So his first point is actually responding to my second point. He says his platform was to win Super Bowls as part of his team, but lost focus. So I don't know if his platform was to win Super Bowls. I think his job was to be a professional athlete with the goal of winning Super Bowls. But his job as a professional athlete gave him a platform that he was utilizing. So it's a strange point. So second, he says, now he is unemployed. Great role model. So this is indicating that somebody who's unemployed is a great role model. And in fact, like, just to really point this out, how ridiculous this is, because these are people who scream censorship all the time. Or scream, people get fired for all these various reasons. But he says, he's basically implying that if you're unemployed, you're not a great role model. And it's like, well, why is he unemployed? Because he was protesting. And it's also indicating that he should have given up his principles to stay employed. That's what I'm thinking. So then he has a third point. He goes, if you think taking a knee during the anthem is such a great thing, and by the way, my third point was he was respectful to actual veterans by taking the advice of a veteran on how to protest. 3, he says, if you think taking a knee during the anthem is such a great thing, how many times did you do it in uniform? 0, right? Because it is dumb. So I kind of don't respond to his first and second point, mostly because it's just not worth dissecting the definition of what a platform is and what somebody's responsibility is. It also just, I didn't really know how to get into the ethics of he stood by his principles and is now unemployed because of that. So I responded to the third point, which was that if you think taking a knee during the anthem is such a great thing, how many times did you do it before? Do it in uniform. 0, right? Because it is dumb. So I write, I didn't kneel because I have no platform. I posted a lot on social media, though, because there was a platform there. The point is to be visible. I'm not sure what you think is dumb about it. Did it work? It sure did. It got the people who support police reform energized, and it pissed off those that don't. So this dude responds with, nailed it. They just wanted to be visible. They would jump on any cause they could make up to make themselves visible because their careers were failing. This is a lot of bullshit. This is a wild assumption. So I don't know anything about the sports sides of things, so I'm not going to be able to comment on that. But I just have this feeling that Megan Rapinoe and Colin Kaepernick's careers were not failing, and so the only thing they could do to save their careers was to jump on any social justice issue they could find. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And also, like, why would you jump on something that's going to get you fired and ostracized? Like, it just doesn't make fucking sense. It's like the same thing when I've seen this before in far-right circles when, a social media influencer will begin transitioning and the argument will be, oh, they just wanted more Twitter followers. That's why they transitioned. It's like you really think like they would, just trans people have a harder life than cis people. Like, we're just not a safe culture for trans people. So why the fuck would somebody just put themselves into that just to get some likes on Twitter? Like, it doesn't make any sense, but that's how these people think, and it's really frustrating. It's really, really frustrating. So he says they would jump on any cause that would they could make up to make themselves visible. So also, the thing that's so insulting about this is he's implying that they're making up that police brutality is happening. I disagree with him on every front. So I give an answer that I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but I went, what? Why would someone give up millions of dollars to get some publicity? Why would someone meet up and befriend a veteran to make sure their protest was done as respectfully as possible? Why would Kaepernick visit youth shelters to talk about the issues he was kneeling for? Your argument makes no sense. I can't stand bad faith arguments. He then responds, keep propping up these clowns and maybe it will make sense to you one day. And so I go, how is being against police brutality, and I put in air quotes, propping up these clowns? He responds, if I have to explain that to you, now seeing how things are going in 2021, then spare me. So this is the last response that I knew about because I wrote it. And then he's now written 2 more things that I haven't caught up with yet. So we'll just see how it goes. So notice I asked a very specific question. I went, how is being against police brutality propping up these clowns? He said, if I have to explain that to you, now seeing how things are going in 2021, then spare me. So he's not answering the question. This is a standard bait and switch. If you see people that refuse to give answers and refuse to give sources, they're usually full of shit. There are exceptions. There is a person who is tired of giving sources. But oftentimes the people that are tired have sources elsewhere, or have at least indications on places to go to learn about the sources. But a lot of times, these honestly, just these far-right morons, I know I'm supposed to be respectful, and not insult people, but seriously, that's how I feel. These people are just very not bright, and they use the same talking points over and over and over again. I've seen these 1,000 times, and it gets so frustrating. But there is a mission at stake, and that is that people need to witness this debate going on. And by the way, I'm getting likes on all of my responses. Actually, I don't think... Yeah, he's not getting any. Cool. That's not always the case. Sometimes people like the other, your opponent's side. And that's okay. That's part of the debate. So anyways, he said he doesn't answer my question. He tells me how he's not going to answer it. And so I get a little catty and I go, gotcha, the coward's way out. I've answered everything you've asked, but you won't answer mine. I think people are more aware of police brutality in 2021 than ever before in American history. There have even been protests in other countries supporting the message. You could just make this easier, and I get real catty here. I said, you could just make this easier by saying, I don't support free speech for people I disagree with, and I won't back up my claims when asked a specific question. So I'm being rude. Okay, so now we're going to see this wonderful response. You're gonna be hearing this in real time. I'm reading this for the first time. So he goes, "When did I ever say I don't support free speech? If not for free speech, I would not have been able to enjoy wasting all this time in this idiotic debate." Okay, so he does have me there. He never actually did say that. You ask if I should take you or this discussion seriously after you prop these clowns. Sorry, can't do it. Support their cause. Get woke. Go broke. Now let's enjoy the highest crime rate in 30 years. Thanks for the debate, and I have learned nothing from you as expected. Mr. Against police brutality, but work in the jail system. And yeah, and then he posts the Hill article, it's headlined "Kaepernick Abolish Police Prisons," and he says, "Abolish yourself." Not a bad answer. He gave a good answer. These are emotionally charged. So I'm gonna respond to each one of these points because he did wait a while before responding. So, all right, his first point: when did I ever say I don't support free speech? So, if not for free speech, I would not have been able to enjoy wasting all this time in this idiotic debate. So I'm going to respond with a respectful answer. I'm going to say, you got me there. You never said you didn't support free speech. So I'm saying you got me there. You never said you didn't support free speech. I'll own up that I'm projecting that onto you, and I'm sorry about that. Okay, so first is I apologize to his first point. So you got me there. You never said you didn't support free speech. I'll own up that I'm projecting onto you. Okay, so I need to rephrase this a little bit because I said I'll own up that I'm projecting that onto you. So I don't want him to interpret that I am projecting me not wanting free speech onto him, because I do support free speech. So I'm going to say I'll own up that I'm projecting something to you that you never said. And I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to. Okay. So let me just confirm that I'm actually happy with that. You got me there. You never said you didn't support free speech. I'll own up that I'm projecting something onto you that you never said, and I'm sorry about that. All right. I think I'm okay with that. However, all right. However, do you find it interesting that when people put, I'm going to put in quotes, woke ideas out there, they lose their jobs and incomes? Do you think that they might actually believe in the message? Okay, so let me see if I'm actually happy with that. However, do you find it interesting that people lose their jobs and incomes when people put woke ideas out there? Do you think that they might actually believe in the message that they're promoting? All right. Okay, and now this is where nuance is a problem. So yeah, I would love to abolish the prison system. I think it's an immoral system. And I think that while it exists, I need to do everything I can to support incarcerated people. So, so I'm gonna tweak some of that. I'm gonna go. So I don't want to insult him yet. Oh, I didn't respond to his crime rate thing. So so sorry. He said, let's enjoy the highest crime rate in 30 years. And so I'm going to say, and unfortunately, are living in a global pandemic. With a massive market crash, a global pandemic that caused a massive market crash. So it's pretty obvious. I'm gonna re-edit this. So it's pretty obvious that crime rate is going to go up. No. So I'm going to delete that. Okay. Now, saying this out loud, by the way, is like putting a weird amount of pressure. This flows a lot quicker when I'm not describing it out loud. Like, I really don't spend this much time crafting a response. I mean, I spend time on responses, but not this much response, because I'm trying to read everything that I'm thinking out loud. So, all right. Unfortunately, we are living in a global pandemic that caused a massive market crash. It was projected would go up just like every other market crash in history. Okay. So, for your last point, I would love, and I'm putting in caps, to live in a world Unfortunately, so for your last point, I would love to live in a world where my job was abolished. Unfortunately, the prison systems still exist, and I'm particularly qualified to work with the incarcerated. I know how to hold people accountable while still being empathetic towards them. The goal is to rehabilitate them to get back into society. But I also hope to rehabilitate society so that we won't need to send to prison. Poverty and the war on drugs has done more to create crime than any mental illness ever has. Okay, now, I am not 100% married to this, so, okay, so let's see if I'm happy with this. For your last point, I would love to live in a world where my job was abolished. Unfortunately, the prison system still exists, and I'm particularly qualified to work with the incarcerated population. I know how to hold people accountable for their actions while still being empathetic towards them. The goal is to rehabilitate them back into society, but I also hope to rehabilitate society so that we won't need to send people to prisons. Poverty and the war on drugs have created more crime than any mental illness ever has. We need to change our policies on how we handle addiction and poverty. We need to change our policies on how we handle addiction and poverty. Let's see. We need to change our policies on how we handle addiction and poverty. The USA, and I'm going to put in parentheses, the land of the free, has the largest prison population in the world. That should be concerning to any supporter of freedom. As 40, and I know these numbers off the top of my head, just so you know, as 40% of the population of that population is non-violent drug offenders. Freedom supporters should be on the side of prison reform. Okay. That's a long ass answer, but I'm not even going to reread it. I'm just going to hit enter. So, alright, y'all. So, maybe I'll have an update later. But I really just wanted to do a walkthrough on what social media arguing is like and what the point of it is and what it looks like in, I guess, quote unquote, real time. But this is an argument I literally have been going through for the last little bit. And yeah, I'm going to be releasing this in 2 weeks. So yeah, cool. It's December 18th, so this will be releasing on, it's December 18th today, so I'll be releasing it on December 27th when you hear this one. So, alright, thank y'all, and, I hope these podcasts keep getting interesting, and I really appreciate all the love and support that I've been getting. Don't forget, to write a review on iTunes. It really does help. Apple Podcasts. But it really does help. Just getting some notice and recognition. And also, please share this podcast with people if you find it interesting. Again, my name is Dorian Wallace. This is Dorian's Mode. consider being a supporter of the show. I'm involved with a musicians co-op called Ampled. Ampled is a Patreon-like platform for musicians collectively owned by its artists and workers. Ampled empowers artists to receive direct community support without intermediaries or gatekeepers. You can become a supporter for whatever amount you think the show is worth. Supporters gain access to exclusive content, including work-in-progress recordings, backstage events, and sneak peeks at upcoming projects. The average supporter gives $6.50 a month. Check out my weekly Twitch show, Socialist Psychedelia Music Hour, which streams every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at www.twitch.tv/Dorian Wallace. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. On YouTube, please like and subscribe. For more information regarding my compositional or therapeutic work, please visit my websites at www.dorianwallace.com and www.maderimusic.com. Let's all keep growing the human-to-human experience. My name is Dorian Wallace. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Peace.